There are some specs that are simply not made for this stuff. They go beyond square peg in the round hole analogy, in my opinion. And this spec, in my opinion, once again, very subjectively, very casual perspective, low gear tune, is Discipline Priest. It's worse than Holy. At the very least, it feels worse than Holy to me. Yet it certainly has some strengths, some minor strengths, and probably worth your 10-12 minutes of your time to accompany me on this very quick journey through a horrific vision, where I try and push 2 chests, 1 bonus objective and the boss. See how it goes, see how it feels, never do this at home. Alright, I'm showing to you, as always, my kind of loadout and my gear and my talents and mother's research. You can see that I am very low geared, I'm not even 440. My cloak is only rank 6 and sanity loss reduction is only 40%. My mother's research is not even up to elite extermination, because priest is not my character, not my tune, as you hopefully would have seen from my previous videos where I was reviewing Shadow, where I have given Holy a little bit of a push. So that's the premise of this whole stuff. We do talk quite a lot about square pegs and round holes, and I found a little bit of fun in basically the attempt to use the specs that are not necessarily made for a specific purpose of being super duper self-sustaining or pumping out a lot of damage solo. So I do have fun pushing horrific visions as primary kind of element in 8.3 of testing your own might or preoccupying yourself solo when you play solo. It's worth taking a look at the talents. As always, I'm trying to boost any remotest resemblance of damage or self-heal. I have reduced the cooldown on the Shadow Fiend, Mindbender, so that I can call upon that extra little bit, tiny bit of DPS. And most prominently for Discipline spec, I've taken Divine Star. Divine Star is that basically spellcast that pushes that Divine Star in front of you and then it returns to you. It's nothing to write home about. None of this setup offers any particular damage to you. You also would have noticed probably that I don't have any particularly good corruptions on this tune, and that plays a huge role for a spec that is not built for this. It's not made for this. Same thing, I know, same thing as I said about Holy. But Holy somehow, Holy felt to me like it probably could be with certain gear, mainly with item level, with the boost of item level, it probably could be pushed somewhere into a little bit more of a self-sustaining horrific vision clearing mode, either with Divine Star or with the Halo. I was not super happy with the Halo being, you know, on longer cooldown. But main thought that I want to share with you guys here is this. And this main thought will explain to you why I think that even though this is not my thing, I would never do this other than just as a test and to report to you guys so that you don't have to. Main reason why I think Holy is better than Discipline for something like this, for the content that it's not built for, is the fact that if you stop listening to me ranting, I know it's not your fault, it's my fault here, stop listening to me ranting for one bit and pay attention to what's going on the screen, you will see that majority of damaging abilities that I'm using, majority of what I rely on, is either a talent that's available to both specs of Holy and of Discipline, such as Divine Star or Halo for that matter, or otherwise they are holy spells. They are holy spells. Smite, Holy Nova, or Shadow, Shadow Word Pain, Psychic Scream, available to just Priest as a baseline. I am deliberately avoiding Penance here because Penance obviously is a probably hardest hitting offensive / healing spell that is specific to Discipline. Yes, you got me. There is one spell that does that. Aside from that, guys, it's Holy Nova and it's Smite. And you do shield yourself because, well, we know, probably you know, I know that when when disciplined priests do their job that they're built to do, they are mainly shielding people. They try to invoke shields, they try to play with atonement effect, they try to do that kind of stuff. So that's what the priest is built to do. They're built to sustain others and themselves a little bit. They're not built to dish out heaps of damage as they sweep through a horrific vision solo and basically do that. If you are, once again, and I try to not say that too much so late into the existence of my channel, where I have reviewed pretty much every spec that I was anyway interested in, as far as how they fare in horrific visions. If you're new here, probably it's a good idea for you to take a look at those other videos. I just, in this particular case, I just think that discipline, I am simply doing this for kind of completeness of the review purpose, and I know that I still owe you the Fury Warriors, which I was kind of tossing up that idea whether I should or not, because I don't want to repeat myself too much. And Fury didn't feel, it is a bit different, of course, how it plays compared to, say, Arms Warrior, who I did review. But again, Warrior, just like the Priest, Warrior is not really my thing beyond protection, because I'm generally a tank. If I have to choose a role, I am generally a tank. I'm not a healer, and I'm not really a DPS. But regardless, so I am reviewing this Priest more for completeness of the picture, because I felt like I owed you one and I owed myself one, just to have this collection of these videos. Whether or not they get heaps of views, it doesn't matter to me. It's more of a completionist than me talking, and if we are following up on this idea, yeah, I guess I will review Fury as well. Yeah, it's cool. But what I started saying is that in previous videos, as in this one, I have to repeat myself a little bit. The sentiment is that if you overgear content severely, if you are in 470s or say 465 at least, and if you have the whole Mother's Research, all the talents open, if you have the cloak, legendary cloak at rank 15, look, the content is trivialized tremendously. So even in discipline, my point is that even in holy, even in discipline, you could probably just hop through the whole vision and just holy nova everything and everything will be dead, right? Well, I think so. That's what I've seen in other specs that are also not like maybe very much built for this kind of stuff, but they have been faring fairly well. So I suspect, and that's your only disclaimer in addition to everything else that I said, that under those circumstances, your holy priest or your disciplined priest, if you have one and you're like, oh, should I not? Mate, if you are overgearing this content, you probably should, and it will be no skin off your nose, you'll be alright. In this very, very bare bones loadout and no good corruptions, which play a huge role once again for a spec that is not built for this, not DPS spec, and in this item level of 439, this is the best I could do. It was not enjoyable. It was painful. I did it out of completionist approach for myself, and hopefully maybe even at least a few of you would, I don't know, find this entertaining. Is questionable in this case because there is nothing super exciting, I admit that. But maybe you're also a completionist, maybe you wanted to see the whole picture, maybe you're a priest main, you're considering something. Anyway, enough said. But that's kind of how I felt about this. I needed to show you disc, and I did not enjoy it. When I opened the detail window of my recount damage meter, you can see that Divine Star, Smite and Penance are always at the very, very top. My good corruption, or the only one that I basically have, that there is some reliance on it, is Echoing Void. You can see that Echoing Void hasn't helped tremendously. It probably comes from the fact that Echoing Void has a range, and Echoing Void probably would shine more. I'm not gonna say that it's one of my favorite abilities for, say, a tank that is close to the enemy anyway, but I'd say it would shine more for a melee class, for someone who is close and personal with the mobs. For someone like this priest who still tries to run away, gain distance, it's not always possible, but I try to, as you can see. I think Echoing Void, when it starts collapsing and doing that damage its own way, I think that's why perhaps it's fairly low, because you would sort of expect it to do more than it did. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, tell me about your experience. Maybe you have had some good displays of how Echoing Void plays as a corruption on your tunes. But for me, when I see Echoing Void contributing to 6-7% of my damage, I'm like, surely you should have done more than that, Echoing Void. This is just pathetic. I don't know. So look, I pushed by these standards, by the standards of this tune, by the loadout of this tune, I pushed. I was happy enough, and to be honest, earlier in the run, as a player, as someone who was running this, I can tell you, I did not feel confident that I will even make it into 2 chests, into a bonus area and the boss. I actually thought that I'll go to like beginning of the drag possibly, and then look at how quickly I'm losing my sanity and how much of reliance on the orbs I had to do, and would run back to just kill Thrall and call it a day. So I was happy with the fact that I was able to actually demonstrate at least some push on this. But as I started saying to you, and again, let me make myself clear, because Discipline has to rely on Holy and Shadow spells in order to do damage, this is my main issue with it and my main reason to say that if I had to rate all 3 specs from my very casual, very undergeared possibly attitude, I'd say that Discipline is my least favorite one, and something that I would absolutely not recommend that you try to push Horrific Visions with. There is no reason to. You have perfectly suitable, yes, I'm gonna go as far as saying that for a priest, perfectly suitable Shadow spec that does metric ton better than this. Metric ton better. You have Holy that at the very least is at home with its own spells that it uses and has every right to use as far as I'm concerned. And then you have Discipline with 1 spell penance of their own and everything else is borrowed. So to me, I am basically not running purely Discipline and relying on what Discipline has to offer, but I'm simply being a priest borrowing bits and pieces from other specs just to make it through. Does it make sense? So these are my closing thoughts on this, guys. Appreciate you tuning in for this very short kind of completionist overview of the spec. Please leave your comments below if you had better results with this. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be speaking with you very, very soon in a couple of days' time once again. See you later. Bye.